I discovered EUM about 5 years back, and it's just been a series of little aha moments and little discoveries through the last 5 years, both in my profession as an OD consultant and coach, and both for myself. The idea that as an individual, when I'm looking at my own self, that this is who I am, or I tend to define myself as this is who I am and this is who I am not. And everything which is about self-development or personal development ends up around managing between who I am and who I am not. With EUM, I think the biggest discovery for me, what started, was to look at self as a work in progress, and a very dynamic, fluid configuration of different needs, of different motives, of different mental models. So that for me was the first, for the first breakthrough of sorts in being able to look at the self as a very fluid configuration and as a work in progress. Very rarely do you find instruments as a OD consultant and a practitioner, or even as a human resource professional, even for your own self work. Very rarely do you find instruments which capture that element of the context and the self, and the interplay between the self and the context. And I think EUM that way is wonderful, because it brings that out. And in fact, that's the central postulate or central theme of how you look at EUM. And look at self and the systems. And this particularly becomes extremely relevant, because if you're looking at driving change, either in individuals or in groups or in the organization overall or in any part of a collective, you cannot do change work without looking at the self and the system together, and not as separate entities but together. And that way, both EUM-I and EUM-O, both as separate instruments and together, EUM-I and EUM-O together in conjunction with each other, are absolutely, for me, perfect tools to go about in the work that I do with change, transformation, continuous improvement, identity work, any change that you want to think about. I think EUM-I and EUM-O would be my first go to work with.